Human beings are resilient and hardworking. One of the most obvious places is Oymyakon Village in Russia, considered the coldest settlement in the world. The village, where temperatures average -50 degrees Celsius during the winter, saw -71.2 degrees Celsius in 1924. Amos Chapple, an adventurer, recently visited Oymyakon in nearby downtown Yakutsk, and spent a total of 5 weeks in the area, visiting daily life in harsh conditions and people who belong there. Here's how Chapple describes the haunting events he experienced in the coldest village in the world. I began my journey with Yakutsk in the northeastern Russian region of Sakha. This is considered the coldest capital city in the world. This city has a population of about 300,000 people, with temperatures hovering at an average of -34 degrees Celsius over the winter. But despite the freezing cold, the city's inhabitants are a wonder, friendly, indulging in earthy pleasures and quite well dressed. So how are locals struggling with the freezing cold? With vodka they call Russian tea. I was staying in a small guest house in Yakutsk before I became friends with some of the locals and was invited to stay in their homes. I tried to cook to thank them, but it's quite difficult to prepare a plate of nachos in the depths of Siberia. Steadily advancing diamond trade has led to a comprehensive and healthy economy in Yakutsk. The effects of the Cold War are less felt around here because the Yakuts are more extroverted than the Russians and do not act as if their pride has been hurt by the fall of the empire. Yakutsk is a gateway to Oymyakon, seen as the coldest town in the world. To get there, it takes 2 days of travel on a barren and isolated road. At first I hitched a ride halfway up the road, but then I was in the middle of the road for 2 days. Bu kadar dusuk sikaklikta arabaların isindeki benzin ve sudan mamasi isin, arabaların 24 saat boyunca hiç stop etmeden rolantide çalışması gerekiyor. Bu yüzden küçük bir olmasına rağmen benzin istasyonları 24 saat açık. Bölgedeki işsiz benzin istasyonlarındaki işçiler 2 hafta çalışıp, 2 hafta tatil yapıyorlar. Yolda kaldığım sırada 2 gün boyunca yoldaki donmuş işsizlikte alan cafe Cuba İzmir'de küçük ve tenha bir misafir hanede konakladım. Rengiyici korbasi ve sisik ki surik, başka bir arabanın gelip beni almasını bekledim. En sonunda, beni gideceğim yer götürmeleri için bulduğum adamlar, yardımseverlikle garip bir tehditkarlık arasında gidip geliyorlardı. Oymyakon beni bırakmalarından once, aileleri birlikte donmuş at kani ve makarna yedik. The communist era monument near the entrance to the village refers to the record temperature of -71.2 degrees Celsius seen in 1924. The monument reads, "The pole of the cold Oymyakon." Today, the average temperature during winter is -50 degrees. Even, which is spoken in Siberia, means Oymyakon. The name is thought to refer to the hot springs formerly visited by reindeer herders. The sudden and freezing effect of the cold weather shook me quite a lot. I felt the cold clutching my legs. Another surprising situation was when my saliva froze and turned into little needles that sank into my lip. I would say a day spent in an environment like this is quite exhausting. Using cameras is just as hard. The steam coming out of my mouth was as intense as cigarette smoke, so I had to hold my breath while I was taking pictures. Focusing the cold-affected lens was also becoming quite troublesome. Since the ground in the area is completely frozen, it is impossible to transport water by pipe to homes in the village. That's why the toilets are outside. Running from house to toilet is a very serious torture. The frozen ground also makes it difficult for the dead to be buried. Before funerals, large fires are lit to warm the soil. Before I went to the village, I thought the villagers would be keen to meet the visitors. Whereas when I left, I found it very difficult to find people to meet. The people I saw outside were either running between houses with their faces covered tight with their gloves, or they were drunk and looking for trouble because the land is not suitable for agriculture, Residents in Oymyakon make their livelihoods by doing municipal work such as livestock or, as pictured, heating. They are used to eating. They consume frozen raw fish, such as salmon and trout, and horse liver. But meat soup makes up most of their diet. The inhabitants of the village are conscious of their Yakut origins and have a tight bond with their surroundings and history. Life mostly works like that everywhere, but people's eyes are constantly above the thermometer. Once it's 50 degrees Celsius, life just stops. Electronic devices and cars are unavailable during the winter months in the village, where there is a school and health clinic. Ships are seated on ice. The irony is that Oymyakon actually means non-freezing water. The ships will not be able to leave the port until next spring. Doctors say locals don't suffer from malnutrition because the animals they eat contain a high rate of micronutrients. The air temperature sometimes drops so low that the ink of fountain pens freezes, glasses in people's eyes hold ice and batteries lose power. Traffic lights are freezing because of extreme cold. Locals face the problem of clothes freezing when they hang up the laundry they wash. In Oymyakon, in winter, the sun only stays in the sky for 3 hours. However, schools are open despite the freezing cold. Schools become holidays if it falls below 52 degrees. With tourists arriving in the region in the summer, the villagers are able to increase their income so they can buy their needs for the winter from nearby cities. But stockpiling is one of the most effective solutions, as winter snowfall disrupts all kinds of transportation. No matter how bad the weather in Oymyakon, villagers say they are happy to live in the area. While it's hard to believe, it can get pretty hot in summer. The highest temperature observed to this day is 35 degrees Celsius, but while the summer months are short, the brutal winter months are endless. To stay up to date on other videos, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my Instagram account for suggestions and questions.